Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDN TV Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button and be the first to get notifications.
International oil companies, IOCs, divesting their oil mining leases have been called upon to clean up the severely polluted environment in the Niger Delta and compensate affected communities before relocating to other investment destinations henceforth. The call was made by interest groups attending the second edition of the Niger Delta Alternatives Convergence recently in Port Harcourt, as correspondent Tekana Amufori reports.
In recent years, international oil companies, IOCs doing business in the Niger Delta have been busy selling off their onshore assets in a desperate bid to operate offshore. Most of the IOCs that have relocated their operations offshore say they can no longer bear the brunt of colossal oil theft and a number of above-ground risks they have encountered over the years. Professor Sofri Joa Peterside, who delivered the keynote address at the second edition of the Niger Delta Alternatives Convergence in Port Harcourt, however, insists that the IOCs are merely playing to the gallery.
In most of those areas, government had not assumed the responsibility of developing these communities. So the community people hold them because they operate in their areas and extracted some commitment from them. So going away means that those commitments, this memorandum of understanding that they have with the community will not be attended to. Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative showed that some of them have not been paying their statutory fees to the government. So this is another small screen to run away from those commitments, and it should not be allowed.
With the IOC's departure, pockets of indigenous oil firms have taken over onshore operations in the oil fields of the Niger Delta. Professor Joa Peterside is worried that the IOCs are leaving footprints of underdevelopment from which oil-producing communities may not recover anytime soon.
Okay, let us assume that indigenous oil companies takes them over. It is going to be very, very problematic. If you are divesting, what about legacies of your operations? Who are you divesting those ones to? Are you divesting also those legacies of environmental degradation, denial of access, destruction of the social fabric of the society?
The Niger Delta Alternatives Convergence, a coalition of academics, civil society organizations, traditional rulers and various interest groups, has come up with a list of demands as the IOCs relinquish their onshore equity participation. Some of the demands include a comprehensive environmental audit of oil-impacted communities, remediation of oil-impacted sites across the Niger Delta region, adequate compensation for affected communities, and restoration of lost livelihoods in the Niger Delta.
They are living in the same manner they came. They came without talking to the people. They came protected by the might of the colonial authority. They were sustained in the Niger Delta by the might of the Nigerian military, repressing our people. Those same companies are now packing up and leaving in the name of divestment. They are leaving behind their mess, their pollution, their cancer, and their respiratory illnesses. Before they leave, there needs to be adequate restoration.
We are not begging for the oil company for benefit. We are asking you to do the costing of the damage you have done to us, and haven't done the costing, pay us the cost of the destruction you have done to us.
In the ongoing campaign for ecological justice, Reverend Nemo Bassi, Director Health of Mother Earth Foundation, reminds political leaders that they cannot afford to remain aloof to the plight of oil-producing communities in the Niger Delta.
There should be regular town hall meetings where governors and legislators go back to explain themselves and explain where there are difficulties and where they are taking new steps. And so we need a completely new imagination from the leaders. And for our people have to get ready to tell their own story by themselves. We can't hide what is going on. We hear so many stories, but they need to be told in a way that actions can be taken on them.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, which has the largest wetland in Africa and the third largest mangrove forest in the world, was until recently a major concentration of biodiversity. Today, the region is grappling with untold biodiversity loss and the many negative consequences of climate change occasioned by decades of environmentally unsustainable methods of crude oil exploration and production. Environmental rights campaigners insist, therefore, that the IOCs will have to remediate what has become a wasteland and offer endangered oil-producing communities a new lease of life in an imminent post-oil economy.
Inside the Niger Delta,